Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to Tool Show with me, Master Dan, the Journeyman Shooter. And today we're going to be doing one of our little weekly coffee time segments here. And, that's good. I think I just spilt some of it all over myself, but that's all right too. I don't really mind that. It's a beautiful morning out right now, and it's a great day to kind of get out there and go for a little walk and have a little talk, especially over a nice, delicious coffee. Just like a break time at work, and you get to talk to a certified master electrician while you're here, so why not? Now, one of the cool things I was thinking that we should talk about today is, well, how do you find inner peace? Right now I'm on Calgary's Peace Bridge here, and I was just thinking about that this morning. That's one of the oldest searches in time, basically, is how to find inner peace. I think that's what the Egyptians were looking for when they built those pyramids. The foreman or the Egyptian king, he didn't want to have to work, and that made him peaceful inside. So he decided to enslave everybody, and that was probably the wrong way to go about it, and you don't want to do that, but there's many different ways to find inner peace, and I was thinking, what are some of those ways? How can we kind of learn together as figure out what the ways to relax are? So I started looking online, and there's a whole bunch of different lists. I think everybody's got some kind of idea of how to find inner peace out there, and I don't know, not many of them are right probably, but I don't know, one of the best ways to do that is through just kind of relaxing and meditating. I know personally I kind of used to like to meditate too, because it's nice and relaxing. It's a good way to get rid of the stress, and you just kind of sit there and let your mind go free. And if there's anything that I'm good at is not thinking, so this is it. I just kidding. That's not what I was. I'm all right. I'm a decent thinker, I guess, sometimes. But one of the best ways to meditate is, I used to do this when I was younger just because I had such a stressful life. I was working on the road my whole life kind of thing, and gave up basically living with my family so that I could go and work in the oil patch. And one time I was really stressed out. I just lost a big job, and I was kind of living in a city that wasn't really going anywhere for me, and I just was wondering what I should do. I had no idea what to do, where to go, and so I just kind of locked the door in my room and closed everything up, just kind of sat down on my bed and just started focusing on my thinking. The easiest way to do it is focus on your breathing. Like, you breathe through your nose and just kind of focus on that. Lose all the sounds around you, everything else that's going on. Close all your windows so you don't hear anything, all your distractions, and just focus on your breathing. And then once you get focused in on that breathing, just try to think about nothing. And then eventually, sometimes maybe thoughts will come and you'll get easy ideas. Stuff will kind of help you out, hopefully. There's lots of different ways to do meditation, and you can probably get your own little lessons online. Just be careful. I know some of those things kind of freak me out, because if they do have some kind of subliminal messaging in there, you could be brainwashed forever, and I don't want to do that to you guys, so just be careful who you're going with. Check out the comments and stuff like that. But so I locked myself in the room because I was having kind of a bad time. Locked myself in there, just kind of started focusing on the breathing, kind of lost track of everything, and woke up like 2 hours later still sitting there, and looked right in front of me. There was nothing when I got in there, and then there was a coin sitting on the ground right in front of me, and I was just kind of shocked that there was this coin there, because I said, did anybody come in here? My girlfriend was there, and I asked her, did anybody come in here? Because there was this coin, and it wasn't there when I was sitting on the bed or whatever. And so I picked it up, and there was a big oil derrick on the back, and it was an Alberta special Canadian coin, which is kind of ironic because I live in Alberta and I was working in the oil patch and thinking about joining back in the oil patch. And sure enough, I just kind of kept the coin with me because I thought it was cool. And then next day, what did I find? The company that hired me, they actually had that symbol from the coin on their logo for the business. So it was kind of ironic, because the exact logo that was on the coin that was just sitting there was the company that we ended up working with. And it turned out to be one of the bigger stories of my life kind of thing, just because it was a tough time. It was a oil patch. It was middle of nowhere. We were working minus 40, minus 50 weather outside, and it wasn't really the nicest of jobs, but I took it because I figured there was a sign, something led me to get to that job. And so I took the job, moved out to it was nice because I was working in the city, but it was also a really horrible job where we were working like 12, 18 hours a day, somewhere in between there, and it was really grungy. And I think most of the guys had some kind of drug problem, which was helping them find their inner peace, but it didn't really help me find any inner peace, because where was I going to go with that one? But So luckily I ended up kind of working away for a few months, and I was just under my 2-month probation. They were offering me so many great deals, and they said, oh yeah, Dan, we can offer you a billion things, like company, whatever it is, the stock stuff that they have, all the other junk. And so they'd offer me so much, I'd basically given up everything to move and stay with this one company. And sure enough, what happens, I ended up getting pneumonia. I had really bad doctor diagnosed pneumonia, and it was a tough time. And so I told them, I said it was Friday, I got diagnosed with the pneumonia, and it was minus 35 outside, and said, hey guys, I shouldn't come in this weekend. My doctor said to take the day off on Sunday, but they said, we really need you in, we've got to get this going. And I said, okay. But we were working outside in minus 34 weather, so they had to heat up the actual skids that we were working on. And I told them, I said, can you guys just heat it up before I come in? I have pneumonia with water on my lungs. It's pretty serious. People have died from this stuff before. And he said, no, nobody on earth is going to give you that kind of right, so you got to come in at the 6 a.m. and warm up the skids yourself. And I said, okay, that's pretty out there, but no problem. So I came in with doctor diagnosed pneumonia, had one of the worst days of my life. It was really tough, just because how do you focus, or how do you think when you can't even breathe, basically? And it actually does affect you. It makes you kind of feel sick. It's not an easy thing to have to go through when you have pneumonia, but luckily I kind of went in, I think I did 8 hours, and I told the boss, I said, I have to go home, I don't feel sick. He was just being really weird and kind of getting up on the ladders with me and just really getting close, and I just said, I got to get out of here, I can't sit here much longer. And so I went outside, and it was minus 30 outside, and he comes running up, he's like, you don't even look sick. And he just started accusing me of not being sick, and I said, I have a doctor's note from my doctor saying I have pneumonia. And he said, well, go home, because he was so upset that I wouldn't stay late with my doctor diagnosed pneumonia and I was sick. And so it ended up turning out, long story short, he followed me back to my car, which was covered in a foot of snow, watched me clean it for a half hour outside with my doctor diagnosed pneumonia while he stared at me, and I just said, leave me alone, and he just kept staring. So I said, okay, and I went home and I let it go. He said, okay, come in on Wednesday, we'll have a big talk about it, because it's not that big I didn't think it was that big of a deal. He just said, come in Wednesday, we'll have a talk about it. And so I came in Wednesday, and sure enough, I got fired just a couple days before my probation was up for 3 months, so I didn't qualify for unemployment. Then also on top of that, it was just a couple weeks before Christmas, so I didn't have any money over Christmas. I was flying home a couple days later, and I was just out of luck. So that was one of the worst times of my life. I always thought that there was a reason that happened, and obviously it did, because it's quite a story. Nobody fires somebody with doctor diagnosed pneumonia. And do you think the government did anything about it? Do you think anybody cared? Nobody cared. And I had the note. I even gave the note to the boss, and he said, I don't care about that. And he threw it on the ground, and I was like, oh, well, thank you. It's a good thing we live in Canada. So if you think it could be worse, it could always be worse. And there's a lot of the time people aren't going to listen to you. But back to my inner peace story here. Now, to find that inner peace, you got to be able to relax a lot more here. And there's lots of different ways to do that. So through the meditation, you could find yourself, you can find yourself a good group, a support group, somebody that you kind of fit in with, and that gives you a little bit more peace as well. Just be careful, because you don't want to end up going with one of those crazy enslaving groups that tries to do the inner peace, just like the crazy Egyptian pharaoh there. But another way, you can go to church. I know a lot of people, they don't kind of believe in that kind of stuff anymore, but that's all right. You don't have to believe in it. The stories are great stories. I know I kind of watch, there's a church on television that I watch all the time just because it's got good stories. The guy is a showman. He knows how to talk, and he kind of gets me pumped up too, because he makes you believe you can do anything, which is true. You can do anything. And even this morning, they had a great talk on there about the owner of the Detroit Tigers, or the former owner of the Detroit Tigers. He just passed away, and he's a great man. He ends up, he worked for free, basically, just to learn how to make pizza, and he ended up opening Little Caesars Pizza, buying the Detroit Tigers, the Detroit Red Wings. He's a local legend back home. He ended up changing most of the city. He ended up even paying for a lot of the major new projects out of his own pocket, just because he's a nice guy and he believed in the city. And someday that's what I plan to do too. Once I become a multi-billionaire there, that's what I'm going to do as well. But you got to start somewhere, and finding inner peace is a good way to do that. So I still got a long way to go, because just like everybody, I get frustrated. Everybody gets frustrated. It's life. You can't always get what you want. You can't always be the happiest person on earth, but you have to try to make the most of it. And that means breathing deep. Take some deep breaths. Find that inner peace. You got to find something that relaxes. I know a lot of people believe if you do good things, you'll also have that as well, because you'll be able to relax a lot more. It's not as hard to stress about those little things, and you can actually just kind of keep going with the good stuff and volunteer, donate your time, donate some blood. I know they're always looking for blood donation people. The rules are very strict, and that's one of the tougher parts about donating blood, so you just got to follow those rules, just because there's a lot of people that are in vulnerable positions, and if one of them catches something, then it could be a lot of a dangerous problem there. But other than that, there's I'm trying to think of what else you can do to find inner peace. Maybe tell some jokes, watch some funny shows. I know personally I relax the most when I'm watching something funny. It makes me laugh, and then I can go to bed and think about positive things instead of just kind of thinking about the old negative world out there. Because when you watch the news, it's not good anymore. There's so much negativity, so much drama, so much everybody's upset at everybody, and you just got to get away with being happy. And that's what part of the inner peace kind of comes with there. And now, what else can you do? I'm just trying to think. There's one last thing that I was thinking, but I really can't think about it. So that's about it. If you want to try to find some inner peace, look online. There's lots of different websites. There's a billion different ways to find it, but you just have to be relaxed, and you have to be calm, cool, collected. And that's part of being in the trades as well. You can't always be frustrated, especially nothing's going to work out all the time. And when you're dealing with construction and you're dealing with building, a lot of the time, most of it's not going to actually work out the way you want it to work out. And that's just life sometimes. You got to make the most out of it. And life's not always going to be fair, and life's not always going to be easy, but if you have inner peace and you can just stop, relax, breathe for a few seconds, get control of yourself, then life's going to be so much easier. But most people, that's the toughest part of life, is everybody's looking for that inner peace, and that's why some people turn to religion. Some people turn to, I don't know, whatever they can to find that inner peace, like drugs, and you don't want to do that. That's one of the ways that you shouldn't. Unless you talk to a legitimate doctor and he helps you out and gives you an idea of what to go with, because then maybe that might actually help you a little bit too, and you can sleep better and actually think better. But I know I'm not an expert. I don't really tend to know about that stuff, but in the trades, that's one thing you have to have, is you can't be stressed. You can't be freaking out, because it's just like the pressure story. If you let that pressure build up, it's just going to explode, and you're going to regret it someday. So for Tool Show, I think that's about it for today, and get out there, try to find some peace. Tool Show, Master Dan, the Journeyman Shooter. Coffee time? Have a good day. Thank you so much, and find that inner peace.